who are being used against Pakistan to finance them, to train them, to arm them, and obviously to make sure that they should select certain areas and operate. We have recently witnessed that a family of a DSP who was serving as an SP at that time was brutally murdered in Quetta. Earlier than that, another AIG came under attack of our police officer, and the Jawans, they were also killed. And so many other activities. If you look at the recent incidents, whether you talk about the landmines, or you talk about the IEDs, or you talk about the attacks on our checkpoints, I'm talking about the western side, as we always say that the Afghan soil is being used against Pakistan. So obviously this is what that money is used for. This is the 5th generation warfare, and this is exactly what India is doing at the moment. We have lost a lot of complaints, we have given a lot of doses, but nothing has happened so far as that one is concerned. At the same time, we've also recently, the DGMO had a talk with the DGMO of the Indian forces regarding this shelling, unprovoked firing and shelling from the Indian side of the border, killing innocent Pakistani civilians. So nothing has been done on that side as well. Recently, at least a couple of members from one family, and then a child, and then women, they were also killed. So a lot is going on. So considering this particular story about Kulbashan JADHAV, the meeting offer purely is because of the humanitarian, it is on the humanitarian grounds, and that is what Pakistan has done, something which should be welcomed by the Indians, and the meeting would take place on the Pakistani soil. Now this is also important, this was stated by the Foreign Office. Then the Indian involvement in Balochistan is again going to be a part of our discussion in our today's program, and this new wave of terrorism in Balochistan, as I earlier mentioned, 15 innocent, I would say, Pakistanis were brutally killed by the Baloch Liberation Front, or these groups which are financed by the Indians, who were most probably going to go to Greece for the sake of finding a decent job there. They were killed, and then 5 more were killed 2 days ago. These are all related, all interlinked. All those who are working on CPEC, they are under threat. If you remember, there was this Chinese couple which was picked up, and later on we got to know that they were killed. Who is doing that? Obviously, there are elements within Pakistan supported by the RAW and other agencies, financed, and then they carry out such activities. To talk about this, we have with us in our studio. On my right, let me introduce you to Ambassador Aslam Rizvi Saab, Senior Diplomat. Sir, thank you very much. We also have with us Air Vice Marshal Retired Ikramullah Bhatti Saab, Senior Defence Analyst. Sir, thank you very much. And we have with us Professor Dr. Okab Malik Saab. So thank you very much. Rizvi Saab, first of all, sir, a very decent offer by the Pakistani authorities to make sure that the wife of this spy should meet him in Pakistan, and obviously that is purely on the humanitarian grounds. And the Indians, they have said that the mother should also meet, and I'm sure at some stage they would also agree to that, sir. First of all, sir, as far as diplomacy is concerned, because earlier the Indians were seeking for consular access, if you remember, sir. So would you like to explain that what exactly is that supposed to mean, that the consular cannot meet, but the parents or the wife or any other family member can meet? Would you like to throw light on that? Because that was something pretty confusing for me, sir.
Well, as you know, he was arrested last year in March, and after going through the trial process, he was convicted by the military courts, and then he was decided that he would be hanged, or he would be executed for crimes which are spying and acts of terrorism, sabotage in the country. The Indians then went to the International Court of Justice because the consular access was denied to them by Pakistan, because under the Vienna Convention, or for spies and people of this nature, criminals, there is no provision for allowing a meeting. So they went to International Court of Justice, who decided that till this matter is resolved, the his execution may be stayed, and thereafter we of course saw that his mother, first of all, made a appeal on humanitarian grounds, a mercy appeal to the Chief of the Army Staff for clemency for him, for his execution. That is still pending.
Okay.
And in the meantime, of course, on basically
Why the Chief of Army Staff? Why not the President, sir?
because it was a military matter.
Okay.
This was a military. He was also a military official, and it was tried by a military court.
Okay.
So he's the final authority of the say
Okay.
about the execution. But on the Pakistan did, however, allow the wife purely on humanitarian grounds. And if you like to compare this with another recent event that has taken place, a Kashmiri who was due to go to India for cancer treatment, he was denied access from there, going there, and of course he went somewhere else and got his treatment. But just shows that whereas Pakistan,
that was for the liver transplant. He had cancer.
Yeah, liver cancer. So. Well, this is where we are. It should be. India has accepted it. You made a condition that his mother should be allowed also, and I think that's under consideration.
And most probably, rather most likely, the government of Pakistan will approve. So your take on the same point, AVM sir?
You see, we must not call Mr. Kulbashan Jadhav or Commander Kulbashan Jadhav a spy. He was not just a spy. He was essentially a saboteur and a terrorist.
A terrorist.
And he have also admitted to all his crimes, and we also know that the different terrorist activities and events which have been caused or programmed or activated or inspired or arranged by him through, of course, different terrorist organizations based in or operating out of Afghanistan, have caused loss of life in Pakistan and loss of property, assets, of strategic nature worth millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
So after having admitted all this, and of course after a trial in the military court, he was sentenced to death. He has 3 tiers of options are available to him to seek pardon or a clemency. I mean, he has already appealed to the court which decided, and which of course has turned down his appeal, the mercy appeal. The next, of course, was the Chief of the Army Staff, where his next appeal is resting at the moment. And then, of course, he has the President of Pakistan to appeal to after that, depending upon whatever decision the Chief of the Army Staff takes. Now, we've had a request from the Indian government regarding a visit by his mother, which of course the government has not yet decided to, but in the meantime there has been a fresh offer from the government of Pakistan that his wife can come and meet, which essentially is on humanitarian grounds, because he has been condemned to death, and there is every possibility that he may be executed. And before that, he is all such people are generally permitted a meeting with the family, and that is why probably the government has offered his wife to meet him, and the Indian government may want the mother to accompany, which I'm sure the government of Pakistan will consider sympathetically and may allow a meeting of both mother and wife with this person. And
so there's no limit how many people can meet. For example, if the children want to meet, or the wife, or so there's no limit on the number of people.
There's no limit. Because if we want to arrange these meetings or allow these meetings on humanitarian grounds, then of course the immediate family would be entitled to or would be given a consideration, sympathetic one, where they could come and meet. So I think which will happen within a week or so.
Because this story, I mean, they offered that on Friday. Today is Monday.
Yes.
So most likely within this week,
within this week, we should expect that meeting may happen.
Okay. Dr. Saab, now your take, sir. Same point. Let's take the debate further.
Well, I agree. I think it's important. But it's also a public affairs issue, this is, more than anything else. I think we know that he was a terrorist. He was interacting with the wrong type of people, instigating sabotage, missions, destroying things, and detrimental to this country, and he was caught red-handed. And we've talked about this before on this program. And on humanitarian grounds, we could allow the wife and probably the mother. And maybe others as well, given that there's a family, but also that we we've had to accept the International Court of Justice decision to hold on a second whilst all decisions are being made, and Pakistan has accepted that. So, but it's also for the fact that there's a tussle between two countries, and this person is being used also as a pawn by the Indians to defame Pakistan, and Pakistan has taken the initiative in this respect to allow this to occur, which is good for the country, to indicate that even though he's done so much damage to us, we will allow on humanitarian grounds. We're not savages. We're a country that's up and coming, and we're responsible, and as a result we understand the situation which they did not understand when they were trying to kill so many of our people. So we have to turn it around also. And we need to play this in the public image around the world that we are doing this. And also one of the issues, I think you mentioned at the beginning, in the International Court of Justice was that Pakistan didn't allow access. And what better access than a personal, somebody who is a family member and blood as well, with a mother coming, and maybe somebody else later on. I think we should not deny that, as long as proper channels are used for clearance and proper process is used. But not make it a fanfare, because that could turn back against us. So we've got to be responsible and somber in this reality that we're engaged with right now, and not lose face. Lose face meaning not have a bad perception about us. I think over the last few years we've not engaged the way we should have done. We've not highlighted the issues that we faced, as you mentioned with the Balochistan issues that we've had, and the separatist groups, for example, and the instigation of RAW trying to cause problems in Pakistan. We've got to highlight these more, but we've got to be more proactive in this rather than defensive. I think it's more reaction that we have to other people attacking us and then saying things off the cuff without really challenging others and how they're doing this, and how they're instigating, and how they're causing problems for the country, and especially because maybe it's a perception that CPEC is a challenge to Indian dominance in the area, or maybe even United States' position in the world, which it's not. It is a win-win issue as far as we're concerned, and all can participate if they get to understand the perspective and change their perspective on things. That's what we're trying to portray. And this is a case in point, that we need to be proactive in the perceptions and produce the narrative for the world to see, which we failed in for so many years. I think we need to go out there and do it, rather than be on the defensive all the time and
do what? What exactly, when you say do it, do what?
Do what?
What sort of
Change
measures
the
do we
narrative
need
as
to
far as
take?
Pakistan is concerned, because we need to go into different countries, show people that we are not what we're portrayed to be by the Indians and the large lobbies in the United States, and the way, and take that back.
The perception management,
change,
basically.
a massive change in perception management, which actually is not that expensive compared to military hardware. It just takes a bit of intelligence and the right mindset to change it around.
The soft
power is so important to change perceptions of people, because at the end of the day, if there's a war-torn environment or a perception of war to occur, people are more susceptible to agree to a potential villain being taken down than a potential ally or an ally. And that's what we've been. We have been an ally, a NATO ally in the war against terror. And we need to play that up more, which we haven't done.
But India is doing it.
But India's been doing it, and they have not been an ally in the war on terror in the way we have, and the way we suffered. And we need to highlight that at every government forum around the world, yeah, and every media outlet. How difficult is it to do that? It's not that difficult.
I think this is the job of the Foreign Office primarily, and then obviously all those who are sitting as ambassadors or as high commissioners in various countries. This is their job, to make a sell. And this is exactly what, during the time when Mia Nawaz Sharif was the Prime Minister, he took this initiative and he sent a lot of parliamentarians abroad, sir. If you went to France, if you went to Turkey, if you went to Geneva, if you went to UK, I think 17 or 18 of them, from the Senate as well as from the lower house. And interestingly, I'll give you an example. Rana Afzal Saab from PML and the MNA, he was assigned to go to France. And he said, when I told them about this Kashmir issue, and when I was having a word with their parliamentarians, and I'm talking about France, not any country in Africa, they had no clue what was going on there. And they were like literally shocked to know. So I think this is really important. So you have served as an ambassador in so many countries, and obviously you understand the diplomatic norms and all. We always believe that, this word diplomacy, I mean, it's been used as negative also. I mean, this person is very diplomatic. This tone is very diplomatic, or maybe the way, if you want to convey something, do it diplomatically, means it's not clear. Don't you think this is the time that forget about the diplomatic language, be straight, be affirmative, and tell the world what's going on, sir? Is that a hard job in 2017? Look at where the world is, sir. Look at where the Americans have gone as far as intelligence, artificial intelligence is concerned. I mean, it's unbelievable, and we are still stuck in as if we are living in 1960s, sir.
Okay, first it must be, a realization must be there. Foreign policy and international relations are usually formulated by the government and the responsible ministries, of course, the foreign affairs, which takes care of it. This happens in every country. Of course, in formulating a policy, there are the various groups that influence the policy. For example, take the policy of United States to Israel. It's the lobby of the Jewish lobbies there that does that. In the same way, when it comes to the policy of Pakistan and Kashmir situation, when you go to the different other countries, when you are talking to them, we project our point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And my own experience, unlike the one you mentioned in France, I've been to Scandinavia, about 6-7 countries. I went with a parliamentary delegation from there, and I was surprised that they knew so much about the issue, the Kashmir issue. And it was not the lack of knowledge. The problem...
Maybe the amount of Pakistanis living in Norway, I mean, this is the second largest community after the Norwegians. Maybe that is the reason they know.
Yes, well, they and, Sweden and other countries.
Yes, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, yes.
All these Scandinavian countries. And so the point is that when it comes to dealing and with a country like India, then it's not the principles, it is not the reality, it is the real politics, it is the national interests that come into play.
Correct.
So they have, they have adjusted their policies accordingly. They will listen to you very politely, but when it comes to putting any pressure, they have to think of the national interest. That is why not so much pressure has been applied on India to change its policy, but we now start seeing a little subtle change is coming about. Notwithstanding,
is that change in our favor, sir?
Yes, it is. And notwithstanding the fact that we do not have as much resources for lobbying as they do in India, in United States, for example, or the other countries, a change is now gradually coming. And from the very recent example you can see is the fact that the JET, which is a Kashmiri-oriented organization and were declared a militant organization, the Americans are no longer insisting that Pakistan should take action against them in order to qualify for the...
But a long list has been given to Pakistan,
long list is given, but they have removed it. They are still insisting the Haqqanis, Pakistan should take action on Haqqanis, otherwise they will not, they will be withholding the aid that they are 350 billion, they are not going to give that. So this is one small thing. The second thing you notice is that the international policy, and as much as also the youths and the new generation of Kashmiris, their freedom struggle that they have recently gone through, and so much of suffering that they have suffered, and despite the massive military action taken by the Indians, Modi has been obliged now to find an interlocutor, the former IB chief Sharma, to go and talk to the Kashmiris and to talk to the Hurriyats. Now this is a recognition of the fact that their policies there are not working. And this has only come about by
Their own parliamentarians, they have informed them. Their own journalists, their own analysts, they believe that this is not working out there.
Exactly, but at the same time, Pakistan, as you know, since the last couple of years, we have been in the United Nations. The former Prime Minister has been there making statements. We have provided evidence of what is going on with regard to the commander himself and others. So it is a cumulative effect of all these things, which has resulted in now some pressure being put on India to come and talk in terms of maybe resuming dialogue. And I think the way forward here is that instead of, saying that they have done this and we have done that, and so much of it in the public domain, they are, hardliners on both sides. And once you come to that situation, it is difficult for anyone to make statements which are, conducive towards dialogue and peace. So it is important now that we should go towards, once again, reactivate our back channel diplomacy. The people can talk from there.
So we should be proactive rather than being reactive.
Yes.
That is unfortunately.
And I think also,
been the case
perhaps
before,
from the Indian side, an easier way is, of course, that they stop the reservations they have on the hosting of the SAARC summit in Pakistan.
Yes.
I mean, you look at it, I mean, the SAARC, the intra regional trade here is about 5%. Compare this with ASEAN, which is, a par grouping, and have 25%
number of. Look at the population of these countries, and look at the trade. It's not even 5%, less than that also. Yeah.
And so there's so much future if you are looking at the trade now, especially with CPEC and opening out to the center. They are party to TAPI, and they have no objection to that. So why not join in CPEC as well? So we should be looking forward towards a cooperation for areas which are mutually beneficial. For both sides.
When you talk about TAPI, I remember there was just another option, IPI, Iran, Pakistan, India gas pipeline. So this last I was removed, this India, Pakistan, and then because of the American pressure, this whole project. I mean, the Iranians, they have done whatever they could have done, sir. But we didn't capitalize on that. You talk about TAPI, understand until there is peace in Afghanistan, nothing is going to work out, sir. You talk about CASA 1000. Actually, I had a meeting with not meeting, I just met him actually at a seminar 2 days ago, the Tajik ambassador. So he was telling me that this is not 1000 megawatts actually, that CASA 1000. This is 1300 megawatts. So a lot can be done because those countries, they have plenty of energy. And when you look at Pakistan and you look at India, even China for that matter, they are energy thirsty countries. So, and this is exactly what the Chinese have in their mind. Now, so one more point, if you remember, since we were